Ambassador Tae-min was reading reports when the emergency signal came through. The red light on his desk started flashing, and the communication screen lit up with an official seal he had never seen before. It was not the usual blue circle of the Galactic Federation. This one was gold with black edges. He pressed the accept button. A tall alien with silver skin appeared on the screen. This was High Secretary Morthek from the Federation Council. Tae-min had only seen him in photos before. Ambassador Tae-min of Earth, the alien said in perfect English. The Galactic Federation Council has called an emergency session. You are ordered to appear before the full assembly in 3 standard days. Tae-min kept his face calm, but his heart started beating faster. Emergency sessions were rare. The last one was 50 years ago when the Kralon Empire tried to destroy a star. May I ask what this concerns? Tae-min said. The matter of human military actions against the Vorthan Empire? You will answer for crimes against galactic peace. The screen went black. Tae-min sat back in his chair. This was bad. Very bad. He pressed a button on his desk. Su-jin, please ask Captain Hye-jin to come to my office right away. Tell her it's urgent. 20 minutes later, Captain Hye-jin walked into his office. She was tall for a human woman, with short black hair and sharp eyes. She wore the dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Fleet. You look worried, she said, sitting down across from his desk. The Federation Council is calling an emergency session. They want to put us on trial for what happened with the Vorthans. Hye-jin's face went hard. Those bastards attacked our colonies first. What were we supposed to do? Let them kill our people? Tell me exactly what happened, Tae-min said. I need to know everything. Hye-jin pulled out a data pad and scrolled through it. 3 weeks ago, Vorthan raiders hit our colonies at New Seoul, Busan Station, and Jeju 7. They came without warning. No demands, no communication. They just started shooting. How many casualties? 237 dead. Most of them were civilians, families, children, old people. Her voice got quiet. They targeted the schools first. Tae-min felt sick. He had read the reports, but hearing it from Hye-jin made it real. What did we do in response? Admiral Jinwoo gave the order to protect our people. We sent the 3rd Fleet to stop them. When we found the Vorthan base ships, we disabled them. Then we tracked back to find where they came from. And we found 53 Vorthan military bases in that sector. All of them were supporting raids against peaceful worlds, not just ours. We took them all out in 72 hours. Tae-min looked at his hands. All of them? Every single military target. But listen to me, Ambassador. We were very careful. No civilian targets, no cities, no farms, no hospitals, only military bases and warships. And we gave them time to surrender first. Did any surrender? 12 bases did. We took their weapons and let them go home. The others kept fighting, so we had to destroy them. There was a knock on the door. Dr. Kai-woo entered without waiting for permission. He was a small man with thick glasses who studied alien cultures. I heard about the emergency session, he said, breathing hard like he had been running. This is very bad. The other species are scared of us now. Scared of what? Tae-min asked. Of how fast we won. No one in galactic history has ever moved that quickly. Most space wars take years. We ended this one in 3 days. Captain Hye-jin stood up. We had to move fast. Every day we waited, more innocent people died. I know that, Ki-woo said. But they don't see it that way. They see a new species that can destroy an entire military region in less than a week. To them, we look like the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Taman felt a headache coming on. What are they saying about us? The rumors are everywhere. Some species think we have secret superweapons. Others think we are lying about being peaceful. The Manthari Collective is already moving their fleets away from human space. Show me the tactical reports, Taimin said to Hyojin. She handed him her data pad. The numbers were incredible. Human forces had destroyed or captured over 300 enemy ships. They had taken out military bases on 47 different worlds. And they had done it all without losing a single human ship. How is this possible? Taemin asked. Better training, better equipment, better planning, Hyejin said. But mostly better reasons to fight. They were attacking innocent people. We were protecting them. There's something else, Kiwoo said quietly. Something I heard from my contacts in the Federation. They think we were holding back. What do you mean? They analyzed our ship movements and weapon signatures. Their military experts think we only used a small part of our real strength, maybe 3%. Taemin stared at him. 3%? That's what their computers say. If that's true, then they think we could conquer half the galaxy if we wanted to. The room went quiet. Outside the window, Taemin could see the busy streets of Nexus Prime. Aliens from dozens of different worlds walked together in peace, for now. They want to put limits on us, he said finally. That's what this trial is really about. Probably, Kiwoo agreed. They want to make sure we can never threaten them. Captain Hyejin laughed, but there was no humor in it. Threaten them? We just saved thousands of innocent lives. If anyone should be on trial, it's the Vorthans for attacking defenseless colonies. The Vorthans are not members of the Federation, Kiwoo said. We are. That makes us responsible for keeping the peace. Taemin stood up and walked to the window. Down below, he saw human children playing with alien children in the park. They were laughing together, sharing toys, completely unaware that their worlds might soon be at war. Get me all the records, he told Hyejin. Everything from the attacks to our response. I want to know exactly what our people did and why they did it. Yes, sir. And Kiwoo, I need you to research galactic law. Find out what they can legally do to us, and what we can do to defend ourselves. Already working on it. After they left, Taemin sat alone in his office. The emergency session was in 3 days. In 3 days, humanity's future in the galaxy would be decided. He picked up a photo from his desk. It showed his daughter playing with her friends back on Earth. She was only 8 years old. What kind of galaxy would she grow up in? One where humans were trusted partners in peace? Or one where they were feared and contained like dangerous animals? He looked at the reports again. The numbers were clear. In 72 hours, human forces had ended a conflict that could have killed thousands more innocent people. They had been precise, careful, and merciful. But apparently, that was the problem. The Galactic Court was bigger than any building Taemin had ever seen. It was made of clear crystal that reached up into the clouds. When he walked inside, his footsteps echoed like thunder. 847 different species had sent representatives. The air was full of strange sounds, clicking, humming, electronic beeps, and languages he could not understand. Sujin walked beside him, carrying his notes and files. Her face was pale. I've never seen so many aliens in one place, she whispered. Stay calm, Taemin told her. Remember, we're here to tell the truth. They found their seats in the center of the great hall. All around them, alien eyes stared, down, Some were large and round like a cow's. Others were tiny like a spider's. A few glowed with their own light. Taman tried not to look nervous, but his hands were shaking. At the front of the hall sat Chief Arbiter Veltar. He was one of the Etherians, an ancient race that had been exploring space since before humans learned to make fire. His skin was like white metal, and his eyes were pure silver. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire building. This emergency session will now begin. We are here to judge the actions of the human species against the Vorthan Empire. The charge is excessive. Use of force and threat to galactic peace. A new alien stood up. This was High Prosecutor Zethlos of the Manthari Collective. He looked like a giant praying mantis with 4 arms and bright green skin. When he moved, his joints made clicking sounds. Honored arbiters, Zethlos said, 3 weeks ago, the human species showed their true nature. When faced with a small border conflict, they responded with overwhelming violence. In 72 hours, they destroyed the military power of an entire empire. He pressed a button, and huge holographic images appeared in the air above the court. They showed space battles, exploding ships, and burning space stations. The images were clear and terrible. Look at this destruction, Zethlos continued. 53 military bases destroyed. Over 300 ships captured or destroyed. An entire region of space now controlled by human forces. This was not defense. This was conquest. Many aliens in the court made sounds of fear and anger. Some clicked their claws. Others made low growling noises. A few of the flying species fluttered their wings nervously. But the most frightening part, Zethlos said, is how easy it was for them. Our military experts have analyzed these battles. The humans won every fight without losing a single ship. Not one. That kind of military superiority has never been seen in galactic history. The prosecutor pressed another button. New images showed human warships. They looked sleek and dangerous, like metal sharks swimming through space. These ships moved faster than anything we have. Their weapons were more accurate than anything we have seen. They attacked 53 targets at the same time across 47 different worlds. The coordination was perfect. Representative Bithan of the Kelvorian Union stood up. He was a tall blue alien with 6 arms and no mouth. When he spoke, the words came from a device on his chest. My people have been studying war for 2,000 years, Bithan said through his translator. Our computers have run 1,000 simulations of this conflict. In every simulation, the humans could have won even faster if they wanted to. Our analysis shows they were holding back. The court erupted in noise. Aliens were chittering, beeping, and making alarm calls in dozens of languages. Chief Arbiter Veltar had to hit his staff 3 times to restore order. How much were they holding back? Veltar asked. Our best estimate is that they used less than 5% of their real military strength. If they had used their full power, they could have conquered the entire Vorthan Empire in less than a day. The noise got even louder. Some aliens started leaving their seats. A few were making what sounded like panic calls to their home worlds. Order! Veltar shouted. We will have order in this court! When it was quiet again, Zethlos continued his prosecution. This is why we must act now. The human species has shown that they can destroy any of us whenever they choose. Today it was the Vorthans. Tomorrow it could be any of us. He pointed at Taemin with one of his 4 arms. Look at their representative. He sits there calmly while we discuss the destruction his people caused. He shows no guilt, no regret, no promise that this will not happen again. Taemin wanted to stand up and defend himself, but Kiwu had told him to wait. Let them make their Accusations first, then tell the truth. The humans say they were defending their colonies, Zethlos said. But defense does not require the complete destruction of an enemy's military power. Defense requires stopping an attack, not preventing all future attacks forever. Another alien stood up. This was Speaker Yilchen of the Aquatic Federation. Her voice was like whale song, beautiful and sad. My people live in the deep oceans of 12 worlds. We have always been peaceful. But after seeing what the humans did to the Vorthans, we are afraid. If they can destroy an empire in 3 days, what could they do to us? What could they do to any of us? That is exactly the question, Zethlos said. Military analysts from 67 different species have studied this conflict. They all agree. Humanity now has the power to conquer most of the galaxy, if they choose to do so. He showed more images. These were computer projections of human fleets attacking different alien worlds. The simulations showed human victory in every case. In 6 months, they could control the core worlds. In 2 years, they could reach the outer rim. In 5 years, they could rule the entire galaxy. No combination of alien fleets could stop them. The court was very quiet now. Everyone was looking at Taemin. He could feel their fear like cold air. This is why we must act, Zethlos said. We propose that humanity be placed under permanent military oversight. They must limit their fleet size to no more than 100 ships. They must allow Federation inspectors on all their military bases, and they must agree to never again use their full military strength without permission from this court. And if they refuse, Veltar asked, then they must be treated as a hostile empire and removed from Federation space. The sounds in the court changed. Before, the aliens had been afraid. Now they were angry. Many of them were looking at Taemin like he was a dangerous animal that needed to be caged. Sujin leaned over and whispered in his ear, "Sir, I'm getting reports from our embassy. Several alien species are moving their fleets. They're preparing for war." Taemin nodded, but did not reply. He was thinking about what Zethlos had said. The prosecutor was right about one thing. Humanity could probably conquer most of the galaxy if they wanted to. But he was wrong about everything else. The real question was not whether humans had the power to conquer. The question was why they had chosen not to use that power until innocent people were being killed. But looking around the court, Taemin realized that most aliens could not understand the difference. To them, having the power to destroy meant you would eventually use it. They could not imagine a species that would hold back when they could win everything. "The prosecution rests," Zethlos said. "We have shown that humanity is too dangerous to remain free. They must be controlled or removed." Chief Arbiter Veltar looked at Taemin. "Ambassador Taemin of Earth, you may now present your defense." Taemin stood up slowly. The entire galaxy was watching him. What he said next would decide whether humanity remained free or became the enemy of everyone. "Thank you, Chief Arbiter," he said. His voice was calm and clear. "I would like to begin with a simple question." He looked around the court, meeting the eyes of aliens from hundreds of different worlds. "In our response to the Vorthan attacks, how many civilians died?" The court was silent. No one answered. "The answer is 0, Taemin said. Not one civilian died in our response. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about who humanity really is." The silence in the court was complete. 847 species waited for Taemin to continue. He could hear his own heartbeat in the quiet. 0 civilian casualties, he repeated, in a military operation that destroyed 53 enemy bases and captured over 300 ships. Not one innocent person died. I want you to think about what that means." He pressed a button on his data pad. New holographic images appeared in the air. These showed detailed maps of the Vorthan military bases. This is Base Keth Mor on Vorthan Prime. It was their largest military installation. Look closely at the damage patterns. The image zoomed in. The military buildings were completely destroyed, but right next to them stood a civilian hospital, completely untouched. Not even a broken window. This is Base Yarthek on the moon of Vordal. Again, total military destruction. But here, 5 kilometers away, is a school for Vorthan children. Our bombs fell within 50 meters of that school. The school was not damaged. More images appeared. In every case, human weapons had surgically removed military targets while leaving everything else intact. Our prosecutors say we used excessive force, Taemin said. But I ask you, what kind of excessive force leaves enemy hospitals and schools completely safe? Dr. Nari stood up from the human delegation. She was a small woman with gray hair who had spent 30 years studying galactic law. Chief Arbiter, may I present evidence about human military doctrine? You may proceed, Dr. Nari. She activated a new hologram. This one showed pages of text in dozens of different languages. These are the human military codes of conduct. Every human soldier learns these rules before they are allowed to fight. Rule number 1, protect innocent life at all costs. Rule number 2, minimize destruction of civilian infrastructure. Rule number 3, accept surrender immediately when offered. The text zoomed in so everyone could read it. Rule number 4, provide medical aid to wounded enemies. Rule number 5, never target non-military installations. Rule number 6, always give advance warning when possible. She looked around the court. These rules are not suggestions. They are absolute laws for human military forces. Breaking them means court-martial and prison time. Zethlos, the prosecutor, stood up. These are just words on paper. What matters is what they actually did. Then let me show you what they actually did, Dr. Nari said. New images appeared. These were recordings from the human military operations. The court could see and hear everything that happened during the fighting. Admiral Jin Woo appeared in the hologram. He was a stern-looking man with gray hair and tired eyes. He was talking to his officers on the bridge of his flagship. Remember, people, the Admiral said. Every shot you take might hit someone's home. Every bomb you drop might kill someone's children. We are here to stop the raiders, not to become raiders ourselves. The recording showed human ships approaching a Vorthan base. Before they attacked, they broadcast a message in the Vorthan language. Attention. Vorthan military forces. You have 1 hour to evacuate all non-combat personnel. We will attack only military targets. Repeat, 1 hour to evacuate civilians. They gave them an hour? Asked Representative Bithan. They gave them an hour, Doctor, Nari confirmed. And in many cases, they waited longer. Here is another recording. This time they saw Captain Dong Hyun on the bridge of his destroyer. A young officer was talking to him. Sir, thermal scans show civilian workers still inside the enemy base. Should we abort the attack? Negative, Captain Dong Hyun said. We wait until they're clear. I don't care if it takes all day. The recording fast-forwarded. They waited 6 more hours until the last civilian transport left the base. Only then. Did they attack? Taemin stepped forward again. Captain Dong Hyun is here today. Would you like to hear his story? A man in a human military uniform stood up. He had scars on his face and walked with a slight limp. When he spoke, his voice was quiet. but clear. 2 years ago, I was captured by Vorthon raiders during a border patrol. They held me prisoner for 8 months. I was tortured every day. They wanted information about human defenses. The court was very quiet. Even the aliens who had been making noise before were listening carefully. They broke my ribs, burned my skin, and kept me in a cage barely big enough to lie down in. Every day they told me they were going to kill me. Every day I thought about revenge. He paused and looked around the court. When we finally found their prison camp, I was the one who planned the attack. I could have destroyed everything. I could have made them suffer like they made me suffer. But I didn't. Why not? Asked Chief Arbiter Veltar. Because I'm human. We don't fight for revenge. We fight to protect people. Even our enemies deserve better than what they gave me. Captain Dong-hyun sat down. The court was silent for a long moment. There's more, Dr. Nari said. She showed new recordings from the battles. In one video, they saw human medics treating wounded Vorthan soldiers. In another, human ships were dropping supply packages to Vorthan survivors on a damaged space station. After every battle, human forces provided medical aid and emergency supplies to Vorthan personnel. They treated enemy wounded with the same care they gave their own people. Zethlos stood up again. This is very touching, but it does not change the fact that they have the power to destroy us all. You're right, Taemin said. We do have that power, and that's exactly why you should trust us. The prosecutor looked confused. What do you mean? Any species that could destroy you but chooses not to is exactly the species you want as an ally. Any species that could conquer the galaxy but instead follows rules about protecting civilians is exactly the species you want keeping the peace. Taemin activated another hologram. This one showed technical specifications for human weapons. The prosecutor is correct that we held back during the Vorten conflict, but he's wrong about why. We didn't hold back because we were being careful with our own forces. We held back because we were being careful with theirs. The technical data scrolled by. It showed weapons capable of destroying entire planets, ships that could travel across the galaxy in days, and defensive systems that could stop any known attack. These are our real capabilities, Taemin said. We could have ended the Vorthan threat in 6 hours instead of 72. We could have destroyed their entire empire instead of just their military. We could have taken everything they had. But you didn't, said Speaker Yilchin of the Aquatic Federation. No, we didn't. Because that's not who we are. Engineer Minho stood up from the human delegation. He was a young man who designed military equipment. The weapons we used against the Vorthons were not even our latest models. They were deliberately chosen for precision, not power. We have weapons that could crack a planet's crust, but we used ones that could crack a single building. Why? Asked Veltar. Because our goal was never to show how strong we are. Our goal was to save lives with as little destruction as possible. Minho showed more technical data. A single human dreadnought carries enough firepower to destroy everything on a planet's surface. But look at the ammunition we actually used against the Vorthons. The data showed that human ships had used less than 2% of their available ammunition. Most of their weapons had never been fired at all. We brought enough force to fight a major war, but we only used enough to stop raiders. That's the difference between conquest and protection. Taemin looked around the court one more time. You say you're afraid of our military power. But I think you're really afraid of something else. You're afraid that we make you look bad. Some aliens made angry sounds, but Taemin continued. For thousands of years, you've accepted that war means civilian casualties. You've accepted that conflicts must be long and bloody. You've accepted that victory means total destruction of your enemies. And then we showed you a different way. We showed you that it's possible to fight a war where only the bad guys get hurt. We showed you that it's possible to win without becoming monsters. You're not afraid of our weapons. You're afraid of our restraint. Because if we can do it, why haven't you been doing it all along? The court erupted in noise. Aliens were arguing in dozens of languages. Some were angry, some were thoughtful, and some looked ashamed. Chief Arbiter Veltar hit his staff repeatedly until order was restored. The defense will continue tomorrow, he announced. This court is adjourned. As the aliens filed out, many of them looked at Taemin differently than before. The fear was still there, but now there was something else too. Maybe it was respect. The second day of the trial began differently. When Taemin entered the Great Crystal Court, he noticed that many aliens were looking at him with curious eyes instead of fearful ones. Some even nodded politely as he passed. Chief Arbiter Veltar called the session to order. The prosecution may present additional evidence. Zethlos stood up, his forearms moving nervously. We call Commander Grathvin of the Vorthan Empire to testify about human brutality. A large alien walked to the witness stand. He looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, with thick gray skin and small red eyes. His left arm was in a medical support device. Commander Grathvin, Zethlos said, please tell the court about the human attack on your base. The Vorthan commander looked around the court. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rough like grinding stone. My base was on the third moon of Yarthek. We had 800 soldiers and 50 civilian workers. When the humans came, I expected them to destroy everything without warning. And did they? Zethlos asked. No. The commander's answer surprised everyone. They broadcast a message first. They told us to evacuate all civilians. They said they would wait. Did you evacuate? I thought it was a trick, but my civilian workers were scared. I let them leave, thinking the humans would attack anyway. Then what happened? They waited. For 6 hours, human ships sat outside our weapons range and waited. My workers got away safely. Only then did they attack. Zethlos looked frustrated. This was not going the way he planned. But they destroyed your base completely. Yes. In 12 minutes, everything was gone. But listen to me. They could have done it in 12 seconds. I saw their weapons. They were holding back. Holding back how? Commander Grathvin shifted in his seat. I have been a soldier for 30 years. I know weapons. The humans had planet crackers in their fleet, but they used precision bombs. They had fusion torpedoes, but they used surgical lasers. Every shot was carefully aimed. They still destroyed your base. Yes, but they saved my people. After the battle, they sent medical ships. They treated our wounded soldiers better than our own medics do. They gave us food, water, and transportation home. The prosecutor was getting angry. You are saying you approve of their attack? I am. Saying they fought with honor. In 30 years of war, I have never seen an enemy show such mercy to defeated soldiers. Commander Grathvin looked directly at Taemin. I came here expecting to testify about human cruelty. Instead, I must tell the truth. They are the most honorable enemy I have ever faced. Zethlos tried to ask more questions, but everything the Vorthan commander said made humans look better, not worse. Finally, he gave up and sat down. Taemin stood for the defense. I would like to call Dr. Yuna, our military historian. A middle-aged woman with kind eyes approached the witness stand. She carried a large data pad filled with historical records. Dr. Yuna, please tell the court about the evolution of human warfare. Certainly. For most of human history, war was brutal and wasteful. Civilians died, cities burned, and winners took everything from losers. But over time, we learned better ways. She activated a hologram showing ancient human battles. The images were violent and chaotic. These are wars from our past. Millions died. Entire civilizations were destroyed. We realized this was wrong, so we changed. The images shifted to show more recent conflicts. These were more organized, with clear rules about protecting non-combatants. We developed something called the laws of war, rules about how fighting should be done, protect civilians, care for wounded enemies, limit destruction, end conflicts quickly. Why did you develop these rules? Asked Chief Arbiter Veltar. Because we learned that the purpose of war is not to destroy your enemy. The purpose is to stop them from hurting innocent people. Once they stop, the war should end. Dr. Yunos showed more recent human military operations. In every case, they followed the same pattern. Overwhelming force applied precisely to end conflicts quickly with minimal casualties. Our current military doctrine is simple. Hit hard, hit fast, hit accurately, then stop. The faster a war ends, the fewer people die. But what about the Vorthan Empire? Asked Representative Bithan. You destroyed their entire military. Yes, because they were using that military to attack innocent people on multiple worlds. It wasn't enough to stop one raid. We had to stop all future raids. She showed intelligence reports from the Vorthan region. The data was disturbing. Vorthan, forces had been attacking peaceful colonies for months. Thousands of innocent people from dozens of different species had been killed or enslaved. The Vorthans were not just raiding human colonies. They were attacking anyone who couldn't fight back. If we had only stopped their attack on us, they would have continued killing others. So you destroyed their ability to attack anyone? Yes. And then we helped them rebuild as a peaceful society. This was news to most of the court. Zethlo stood up quickly. What do you mean, help them rebuild? Engineer Minho came forward with more data. After the military operation ended, we sent engineers, doctors, and teachers to Vortan worlds. We're helping them build hospitals, schools, and farms to replace their military infrastructure. You're helping your former enemies. They're not our enemies anymore. They're just people who need help. The images showed human construction teams working alongside Vorthan civilians. Former soldiers were being trained as farmers and teachers. Children who had been raised to be warriors were now learning to read and write. This is our real goal, Taemin said. Not to conquer, but to convert. Turn warriors into workers. Turn raiders into builders. Turn enemies into friends. Chief Arbiter Veltar looked thoughtful. These are noble goals, but they still required you to demonstrate overwhelming military superiority. Yes, Taemin agreed, but let me show you exactly what that superiority looks like. Engineer Minho stepped forward again. May I present classified technical specifications? A murmur went through the court. Classified military data was never shared in open court. You may proceed, Veltar said. The new holograms showed the real capabilities of human military technology. The numbers were staggering. Human ships could travel 100 times faster than anything else in the galaxy. Their weapons could destroy stars. Their defenses could stop any known attack. This is what we actually have, Minho said. And this is what we used against the Vorthans. A tiny fraction appeared on the screen. Less than 1% of human military capability had been used in the entire conflict. You used less than 1%? asked Speaker Yilchin. The weapons we used were not even military grade, Minho continued. They were essentially police equipment. We used the smallest, weakest tools that could still get the job done. Why? Because our goal was not to show our strength. Our goal was to solve a problem with as little force as possible. The court was completely silent now. Everyone was starting to understand what they were really dealing with. There's something else, Dr. Yuna said. The prosecution claims we are a threat to galactic peace. But look at what's happened since we joined the Federation. New data appeared showing galactic conflict statistics over the past 50 years. Piracy is down 60%. Slave raids are down 70%. Unprovoked attacks on peaceful worlds have almost stopped completely. Why? Asked Veltar. Because everyone knows we're watching. Bullies only pick on people who can't fight back. When they know someone strong will stop them, they find something else to do. Taemin looked around the court. You say you're afraid of our military power, but that power is the reason your worlds are safer now than they've been in centuries. The galaxy has become more peaceful since humans arrived, not more dangerous. We haven't conquered anyone. We've protected everyone. He paused to let that sink in. The real question isn't whether we have the power to hurt you. The real question is, what would happen to galactic peace if we weren't here to keep the bullies in line? As the implications of this hit the assembled aliens, many started looking worried for a completely different reason. What if the humans decided to leave? The third day of the trial felt different from the start. The Great Crystal Court was full, but the mood had changed. Fear was still there, but now it was mixed with uncertainty and something that might have been respect. Chief Arbiter Veltar called for order. His silver eyes reflected the morning light streaming through the crystal walls. We will now hear final statements before the Council votes on restrictions for human military activities. Zethlos stood up for the prosecution. His four arms moved nervously as he spoke. Honored arbiters, the evidence is clear. Humanity possesses military power beyond anything seen in galactic history. Yes, they have shown restraint so far. Yes, they have followed our laws. But power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. He looked around the court with his large insect eyes. Today they use this power to protect. But what about tomorrow? What about next year? What happens when they decide that we are the threat that needs to be stopped? We cannot take this risk. We must vote to limit human military capabilities now, while we still can. Once they decide to ignore us, it will be too late. Zethlos sat down. The court was quiet, waiting. Taemin stood slowly. He had spent all night thinking about what he would say. The future of humanity in the galaxy would be decided by his next words. Honored arbiters, he began, his voice calm and clear. You have accused us of being a threat. You have demanded we limit our military capabilities. You have suggested we submit to permanent oversight. He paused and looked around the court, meeting the eyes of representatives from hundreds of worlds. But, in doing so, you've gone too far. The simple statement created complete silence. No one moved. No one made a sound. 847 species waited to hear what came next. You've gone too far in your fear, Taemin continued. Fear is useful. It keeps you alive. But too much fear makes you stupid. It makes you unable to tell the difference between a protector and a predator. You've gone too far in your assumptions. You assume that because we can destroy you, we want to destroy you. You assume that because we have power, we will abuse it. You assume that because we are strong, we cannot be trusted. His voice grew stronger. But most importantly, you've gone too far in forgetting why we're here. He activated a hologram that filled the air above the court. It showed current conflicts happening across the galaxy. The images were terrible. Burning cities, slave ships, civilians running from attacking armies. While you sit here debating whether to restrain the one species that shows mercy in warfare, real monsters operate freely across the galaxy. The images focused on specific conflicts. The Xerion Syndicate was enslaving entire populations. The Bruthan Collective was conquering peaceful worlds for sport. Pirates were raiding trade routes with no interference. The Xerion slave trade has taken over 3 million people in the past year. The Bruthan Collective has destroyed 17 peaceful civilizations in the past 6 months. Pirates have killed tens of thousands of innocent traders. Where are the emergency sessions for these crimes? Where are the votes to stop these atrocities? Where is your outrage for the real threats to galactic peace? Taman looked directly at Chief Arbiter Veltar. You hold emergency trials for the species that protects civilians, but you do nothing about the species that murder them. You want to limit the power of those who save lives while ignoring those who take them. The court erupted in noise. Aliens were arguing in dozens of languages. Some looked ashamed, others looked angry, a few started to leave their seats. "Order!" Veltar shouted, hitting his staff against the crystal floor. "Order in this court!" When it was quiet again, Taman continued, "I came here prepared to defend humanity's actions against the Vorthons. I brought evidence, witnesses, and legal arguments. I was ready to prove that we acted correctly according to galactic law. But now I realize that was a mistake. We shouldn't have to defend ourselves for protecting innocent people. We shouldn't have to justify showing mercy to our enemies. We shouldn't have to prove that we can be trusted when our actions already prove it." Su Jin appeared at his side with an urgent message pad. Her face was pale as she whispered in his ear. Taman read the message quickly, then looked back at the court. "I have just received word from our intelligence services. The Xerion Syndicate is moving a massive slave fleet toward the Delthari homeworld. Current estimates say they will arrive in 48 hours. New images appeared in the hologram. The Delthari were a peaceful species that looked like large butterflies with rainbow wings. They had no military and had never hurt anyone. 3 billion Delthari civilians will be enslaved or killed within 2 days. Their world has no defenses. Their government has already asked for help. According to galactic law, no species is required to help them. It's not our territory, not our responsibility, and not our problem." Taman looked around the court one more time. "But we are going to help them anyway, because that's who we are." The court exploded in noise again. This time Veltar couldn't restore order. Aliens were shouting in dozens of languages, some demanding action, others arguing about jurisdiction and law. In the middle of the chaos, Taman spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Federation, effective immediately." The noise stopped instantly. Every alien in the court stared at him in shock. "We will not be limited in our ability to protect innocent people. We will not submit to oversight from those who do nothing while civilians die. We will not accept restrictions from those who fear strength more than they hate cruelty. If that makes us a threat to you, then perhaps you should examine what you've become." Chief Arbiter Veltar found his voice. "Ambassador Taman, you cannot simply withdraw from the Federation. There are procedures, requirements. There are no requirements for leaving," Taman interrupted. "Only for joining. We joined voluntarily 50 years ago. We leave voluntarily today." He nodded to Su Jin, who activated her communication device. "Admiral Ji-hyun, please begin the evacuation of all human personnel from Federation space. We're going home." "What about the Delthari?" asked Speaker Yilchin. "We will handle that situation ourselves." "You can't fight the Zerion Syndicate alone," protested Representative Bithan. "Can't we?" Taemin smiled grimly. "You've spent 3 days telling me how powerful we are. Now you say we can't handle some slavers?" More communication devices were activating around the court. Aliens were calling their home governments, reporting the shocking news. "Sir," came Admiral Ji Hyun's voice through Sujin's communicator. "What are our new rules of engagement?" Taemin thought for a moment. "Same as always, Admiral. Protect the innocent. Show mercy to enemies who surrender. Use only the force necessary to complete the mission. And if they don't surrender, then make sure they can never hurt innocent people again." As human ships began leaving Federation space, emergency transmissions flooded the court's communication systems. They were not angry messages demanding humanity return. They were desperate requests for help. The Kelvorian Union was requesting human protection from Bruthan raiders. The Aquatic Federation was asking for help against pirates. The Manthari Collective wanted humans to investigate slave raids in their territory. Dozens of species that had voted to restrict humanity were now begging them to stay. "You see," Taemin said to the silent court, "this trial was never about whether humanity is too dangerous to be free. It was about whether the galaxy is too dangerous to be without us." He walked toward the exit, then stopped and turned back. "You had guardians who asked for nothing except the right to do their job. You had protectors who followed your laws even when those laws made protection harder. You had the strongest military force in galactic history, and they used it only to save lives. And you decided they were the problem." As Taemin left the court, followed by the entire human delegation, Chief Arbiter Veltar called out desperately, "What if we reconsider the restrictions? What if we vote to trust humanity?" Taemin paused at the doorway. "Trust isn't something you vote on," he said. "It's something you earn. And today, you've shown that you don't deserve ours." The Great Crystal. Court fell silent as the humans departed. Outside, their ships were already moving toward Delthari space, ready to face an entire slave fleet to protect people they had never met. 847 species sat in stunned silence, realizing they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had tried to cage their guardian angels. Instead, they had set them free.